Acupuncture. Normal acupuncture has been found to release endorphins when done by professionals or not, and cause pain relief in patients, but being stabbed with wooden toothpicks has an even higher effect than with needles, so it's the intensity of the pain, not the method, that causes the good feeling of acupuncture. Mine involved the TENS unit. In regular acupuncture, twisting is often done to stimulate the flow of qi. These ridiculously thin needles have been shown to break off and remain in the body when twisting is done. If you must try acupuncture, use the TENS unit acupuncture. A TENS unit is a device used to stimulate muscles used in some physical therapies. With this combination of chiropractic and acupuncture, I was in a daze and on a high when I left the building each day. Besides forcing me to relax, acupuncture also has a muscular stimulation effect. Evidence shows that this sort of acupuncture can deplete the needle area of nutrition, which is why they have to move the needle locations around. My intestines and circulation also felt better after this form of acupuncture. After taking an anatomy class, I came up with a hypothesis that because the electricity went straight to the nerves instead of being spread broadly, like with a patch as TENS unit normally is used, it was able to directly force muscle movement and smooth muscle tissue. Smooth muscle tissue cannot be stimulated by any means other than somatic or natural body responses. You can't exercise to work this type of muscle out. It is found in the intestines, stomach, and arteries for dilation. Regular exercise does help maintain it, but over time it depletes, which leads to a lot of geriatric diseases. Smooth muscle tissue is one of the limiting factors to age extension therapy, so scientists are very interested in learning how to stimulate it. A recent study showed that coating the muscle with certain proteins could cause stimulation via light, so it's a field being well studied. So I'm going to conclude at this point that my hypothesis is nothing more than a guess. If TENS acupuncture worked, physical therapists would be all over it. I did, however, find out from a friend at our Center for Inquiry, who has in fact checked this script for me, and has an MS in sports medicine, that TENS units also produce endorphins as well. So the reason why I liked acupuncture so much was because if I didn't relax, it hurt, because the needles move and the muscles bunched. If I did relax, I got endorphins. That level of relaxation probably helped my circulation and intestines because I wasn't stressed hardly at all. It's a great form of super meditation, but outside of that, it has no scientific evidence to do anything meridian-wise. So how did my chiropractor cure my chest problem? Well, chiropractors can do some things related to the spine, relaxation, and meditation that acupuncture brought about, compounding the effects. It really helped me, but after that, I was just going for the high. Studies also show that one tends to be more aware of their health if they see and get one-on-one care of a health practitioner. So overall, it was great for me and fixed my problems, but I probably spent 10 to 20 times more on the problem than I should have. I began to grasp the concept of evidence in science around the time my mom started to sell a product called Nikken, which is a Japanese holistic company. Sadly, because the American stereotype of the hard-working, well-studied, and science-y Japanese, it was easier to swallow. Their claim was that 1 in 5 people in Japan had a Nikken product in their house, so it must work. If you actually know much about the Japanese market, you will also know that while they don't have much faith in the area of religion, their culture is high in superstitious beliefs, including ghosts, spirits, charms, and fortunes, which makes for really good anime, but terrible science. They sold water purifiers and alkaliers, mattresses, insoles, and chair cushions, all with magnets in them. They basically had a checkerboard pattern of north and south poles embedded into them. On the plus side, all their stuff was pretty high quality. It was just high quality bull. I was never a super strong believer in it, but I looked into it and still believing in acupuncture and meridian lines. I even went to one of the distribution meetings. They, of course, had the anecdotal evidence of a guy who had foot pain all his life until he used their insoles. They were really excited that I was a scientist, and I asked how it worked. There were a few people I talked to who had some interesting hypotheses, like the magnets magnetize the iron in the blood, causing better blood flow, but none of them really knew. I went to their website, and just like most woo sites, they had nothing but anecdotal evidence and no scientific clinical trials or papers matching their research. I did use the mattress for about 6 months. However, near the end of that period, I noticed really bad circulation that has been with me ever since. Mind you, I was near 30 and your program shutdown starts kicking in, and it was the beginning of the recession where poor circulation and cold appendages are caused by chronic stress, so it may be a coincidence. However, I did find a scientific paper on the journal Science, and none of their stuff is open source, so I can't link it to you, but there are studies in neurology that show that you can affect neurons via pulse magnetism, and every type of neuron reacts differently depending on the pulse and the frequency. This science is how the God helmet operates and will be used much more in neuroscience and therapy in the future. However, there is little about which pulses affect what kind of cells or their overall effects on the brain and body. As magnets affect neurons and neurons are in your nerves, it's possible that the nerves were affected, possibly to relax, affecting my arteries. It also might be why the guy with foot problems ended up feeling better was due to relaxation in his feet. Too much relaxation in my arteries could have possibly caused atrophy of my smooth muscle tissue, but I have no evidence to back that up. At some point, magnetic therapy will probably be a big legitimate boom, but they don't have the clinical research to back themselves up, and they may be doing more harm than good. When someone helps you with a legitimate problem, that person is now trusted, and they can get you to believe that they have the cure for a lot of other problems, even if they unwittingly don't actually have the cure, especially if it sounds sciencey or complex. Several other interesting phenomena is discussed in Robert Sapolsky's book, The Trouble with Testosterone. In one of his essays, he discusses our weird biases of the wisdom of the ancients, the wisdom of the non-westernized, the wisdom of children, and the wisdom of animals. The wisdom of the non-westernized is essential for magnetic therapy and acupuncture. All romantic ideas that many alternative medicines rely on to sell their products. He focused mostly on the wisdom of the animals, when scientists find that animals are eating a medicinal herb or can sense when they need to switch to a different diet, and the lay media has a field day thinking the animals have some hidden wisdom. In terms of biomimicry, using evolution via trial and error to find something we hadn't thought of before, it's true, but the individual animal does not have the wisdom in themselves. What scientists have found is that when a diet is not working for an animal, it will be much more likely to try new things. It is linked to the conditioned response. When an animal becomes sick from eating something, it will avoid that. Normally, their diet will not change, but when they don't feel as good or have a nutrient deficiency, they will try anything new. Scientists have found that they don't necessarily know what's good to eat. They are just looking for new, and it doesn't matter if the new diet is more healthy. If they happen to be social animals, they, however, can watch others in their group who have different diets and will try the new things. This mindset of trying anything new when they're turned off by the old diet may be why people are so big on trying new things, and it may have a bigger placebo effect on them if they're not healthy. A healthy person may not get anything out of it at all. My mom has bad insomnia and is always talking about some new herb or supplement she's trying and how much better it helped her sleep. She will pick up some new herb a few months later and talk about how much it helps her sleep because the last herb fizzled out. Since we really don't have good science on how to get people to sleep, I don't know if I can really show her this video as it's having a good placebo effect on getting her to sleep. Every new fad diet thrives on the psychological mechanism, and every new treatment does too. Of course, if the problem was actually fixed, they wouldn't keep searching. These natural biases are essential keeping alternative medicine alive, because as Tim Minchin said, what do they call an alternative medicine that's been proven to work? Alright, medicine. The reason I made this video is to tell people where I'm coming from and to get them into the mindset to be skeptical, as my next video will discuss a type of exercise I developed that has evidence that it can do the majority of the good chiropractor does, but even better and with scientific backing. It is the walking that I did, and according to my sports medicine friend, it's backed up by science. I could make a series of exercise videos and sell them on infomercials, or I could keep it to myself because I don't feel qualified to teach. The term used in sports medicine is called corrective exercise and probably has a few more components to it. But this is a simpler form of it, so the next video will be the first and possibly only video I have a donate button in, only because I developed the technique myself. If it helps you, feel free to donate, and the worst that can happen is people get out and walk more.